Hi everybody, welcome to the Big Gold Travel Channel. Today I got a special guest. The guy needs no introduction, but I gotta do it anyways. The one who set 37 titles. He's a Hall of Famer, the only Puerto Rican to be on it. The one and only Juan Chi Chi Rodríguez, and he has a story to tell.
You can earn close to $1 million a year out in there.
Beautiful.
And here's Chi Chi Rodríguez at the 11th.
I've seen it a number of times. Just watch his swing. He always plays like a man that's trying to go violates every principle we've been trying to teach for all these years.
And Jack,
34.
at the 9th hole, he's -1. He's 3 shots back of both of you tomorrow.
He's the Puerto Rican king of swing, Chi Chi Rodríguez, one of the most charitable athletes around.
They go through the exhibition. And you want to be... I don't do that.
Officer, I lied. I'm not Chi Chi Rodríguez, the pro. I'm on no farmer's caddy. He says, we're going in. But,
He's all show, yet mindful of the business of humanitarianism. 100 golf clinics a year, about 25 of them for charity. He also runs a foundation which treats sexually abused children.
Let Chi Chi Rodríguez.
Well, Chi Chi, I want to know a little bit about your story. I want to know a little bit from the beginning, where the nickname Chi Chi came from.
Well, there used to be a baseball team in Puerto Rico, of course. People know Roberto Clemente before, called Santurce Cangrejeros. And there was a third baseman called Chi Chi Flores. And as a kid, he was my idol. He wasn't that great, but he tried very hard. And I started saying, I'm Chi Chi Flores, I'm Chi Chi Flores. The kids started calling me Chi Chi. So he stuck with me.
How do you grew up? How actually you discovered golf?
Well, we used to live in a plantation, and very unfortunate for us. My father worked for that same man for 30 years. He worked 12, 16 hours every day, 7 days a week. Never made over $18 a week. And after 30 years, my daddy had a heart attack and he fired him. And but anyway, you can't live in the past. Only fools live in the past. We lived in that plantation, and then of course when he got fired, we went to another plantation. And fortunately, my father was the foreman there. And when I was 7 years old, he gave me a job in the sugarcane plantation as the water boy. So I used to give water to the guys that cut the sugarcane. And I was getting $1 a day, and that was the first job that I had in my life. My father wanted me to be a man since I was a kid, and he got a man.
And here's Chi Chi Rodríguez at the 11th tee. David, the driver.
Well, we've seen it a number of times. Just watch his swing. He always plays like a man that's trying to go through you anyhow. And he just gets up, plays very quickly.
I got my influence from my father and mother. They always shared everything. I mean, my father would be eating from his hand because we didn't have a table to eat. And he would eat on the porch, and a kid with a big belly would go by the house, and he would always call the kid in and give him his food. And I would say, well, Dad, you're hungry. He says, that kid is hungrier than I am. And then he would go to the back of the parcela that we had, and he would take the vine, the hookahs, and he'd eat that like a rabbit. And then he would go to the tomato plant and grab a tomato and eat it. And you know, one time I had dysentery, I had diarrhea. And my father said, what's wrong with you? I said, I got diarrhea. He said, what is that? He had never had an upset stomach in his life. He says, I never know what that is, son.
Third, playing right field, number 21, Roberto Clemente. Matlack on the 0-1. Bobby hits the drive into the gap in left center field. There she is.
A double for Roberto.
Another plane crash last night. A 4-engine DC-7 loaded with supplies for Nicaraguan earthquake victims fell into the ocean after takeoff from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Among 5 persons aboard, Pittsburgh Pirates baseball superstar Roberto Clemente.
I'm born to be a baseball player. This is something that I think about. The more I think about it, I'm convinced that God wants me to play baseball. And more than that, I represent the common people of America.
The person that he was still lives.
I heard a story. There was a sport that I used to play before golf, which is baseball. That's true?
Yeah, I used to play baseball. I was pretty good at a thing called Villalda too, which in Puerto Rico they don't play that. It's like Las Candelarias. We used to have Candelarias and dance around the fire. And I was a pretty good pitcher when I was in the little leagues. And then we went to Class A ball, and David, I forgot his last name. He was our manager. And Ramon Gonzalez, who became a pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates, relief pitcher, left-handed. He was part of our team. And then Roberto Clemente. And Roberto Clemente, we used to call him Mommin. And Mommin was the pinch runner. What a genius that manager was.
Wow.
Chi Chi playing and Roberto pinch runner.
How was that combination, Chi Chi?
Oh my God, what a dummy that manager was.
How was your relationship with Roberto Clemente?
Well, you know, I was never close to him. My brother and sisters were in school with him in San Antonio.
Okay.
And Roberto was kind of a loner, you know, always. And I never got close to anybody, you know, because to me, a friend is one that can stand between you and the bullet. And I don't know many people that will do that for you.
Right.
Yeah.
You actually played with Roberto's brother also, right?
Well, I didn't play with him. Martino. Martino was, he was a tremendous player, you know, in Double-A, but he had a 472. But he didn't have the break that Roberto had, so he did not reach his pinnacle, but he was. It's too bad because he would have been one of the greatest players like his brother was in the major leagues. But I never played with him. He was kind of a little older than we. You know, Martino is about 89 now, and I'm 82, so 7 years from you're 16 years old is a lot of years.
Yes, it is. I believe you still got a special wish with Roberto.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it, and I might put it in my will that I want to, when I die, which will be when I'm 115, I want to be cremated, and my ashes I want them to be dropped right where Roberto Clemente's plane went down. I wanted to have some company with me.
Well, I think that's very remarkable. I have never heard something, like that. You and I'm Mike Clemente,
Well, I love the guy, and he died the way that is so honorable to die that way. And to me, Roberto Clemente was a male Mother Teresa.
Chi Chi, who did you grow up admiring?
Well, I admire of course, Chi Chi Flores. I used to love Don Luis Muñoz Marin, because he's the only politician that I ever saw that promised stuff to people and he gave it to them. And you know what? He died broke. He had no money. Which means he was a decent man. Most politicians die very wealthy, they go in broke and they come out with all your money. But I idolize him, and I always idolized Mahatma Gandhi, because Mahatma Gandhi won a war without firing a shot. And of course, Mother Teresa, as I got older, I really idolized her. I think, as a matter of fact, when I became an older guy, I was in the Philippines with President Marcos, which was a real good friend of mine, him and Imelda. And he told me, he asked me, whom would you like to meet? The Pope is going to be here, Mother Teresa. I told him, I said, there'll be another Pope. There'll never be another Mother Teresa. I want to meet her. And I met her, and I spent the best 45 minutes of my life with her.
Talk to me a little bit about your introduction to golf.
Well, my brother and I, Julio was IQ-wise, he's a genius, He was a lawyer in Puerto Rico. He worked for the Acueductos and Alcantarillados. He was an accountant, then he became a lawyer, and he handled the toughest lawsuits against the government in that division. He had 70 lawyers that worked for him, under him. And he used to take the real tough cases, and he never lost. He retired without ever losing a case. And he and I built a little four-wheel cart, and we're pushing each other. That was the most beautiful avenue, the road in the world, from Carolina to Rio Piedras, because everything was flamboyant on both sides, and they used to cover each other in the air, and it was like a tunnel. And we built a four-wheel cart, and he would push me, and then I would push him, and then we saw this cuesta, going downhill, and we both climbed on the cart, and we went down, and when we got there, they were playing golf. And my brother says, I'm going home. I said, I'm going to stay. So we didn't live far from there. So I went and talked to the caddy master, and I said, how much those guys make carrying those bags? He said, they make 25 cents. I said, can I carry one of those bags? He said, you're too small. And I said, well, sir, I'm small, but I'm strong. I work in the sugar cane. And he liked me, and he sent me as apprentice sport caddy, and that day, for about 4 hours, I made 10 cents. 10 cents in those days, you could buy a pound of bread for $2 cents, and then you could take the guata, I call it, outside the heart of the bread, and throw it away and fill it up with beans. Man, that was the most delicious sandwich you could ever have. And then at the age of 9, they ran out of caddies, and I was still there. And an old man named Jim Till, he came in, and there were no caddies, and I was the only game in town. And he came and said, son, can you carry that bag? I said, sir, I've been waiting for this chance for 2 years. And he says, if you get tired, I will help you. I said, I will not get tired. And I caddied for him, and when we finished, he went to the caddy master. He said, this is the best caddy I've ever had. And I want him to be my caddy from now on. My wife's caddy and my 2 kids' brothers' caddy. So I had a job forever there.
Wow. Well, you came from caddy to turn pro. In 1960, you became pro. Tell me, how was the process and how actually you got there?
Well, you'd consider a pro when you make a living. When you make a living at golf. You make money at golf, you consider a pro. And I became a tour pro in 1960. The first pro at Dorado Beach was a guy named Ed Dudley, who was the first pro at the Augusta National where they play the Masters. And he really liked me, and he gave me a job. You know, I was working in La Clinica Antilla as a nurse in a psychiatrist clinic, and I was getting $80 a month. You're working as a really mostly as an assistant nurse, and they were veterans from the Korean War. They were very mentally ill, and my sister Carmen, she says, you know, they're building a golf course over there in Dorado, a guy named Rockefeller. She saw it in the newspaper, and she said, why don't you go over there? I had just gotten out of the Army, well, a year. And she said, why don't you go over there and see if you can find a job, because she knew that I like golf. So I said, well, they're not going to hire me. I'm Puerto Rican, you know. Here I had a chip on my shoulder, you understand? So I went there, and I had a friend named Pedro Vidal, Pejin, and he had a car, and he broke down 5 times to get there, but he knew how to fix it. Okay. So we got there, and the pro was a guy named Ed Dudley, and I said, Mr. Dudley, I'm Chi Chi Rodríguez, and here's my discharge from the United States Army, honorable, and I was the post champion in Fort Sill and a club champion of the club, and I'm looking for a job. He said, did you bring your clubs? I said, yes, sir, I brought my clubs. He said, well, let's go play. I said, okay. So we went and played. I shot the worst round I shot in my life. And he said, well, I'm bringing another assistant from Augusta and whatever. And I told him, I said, Mr. Dudley, you know, I had a tough day today. I was very nervous. But I think if a man like you teach me, I can be a very, very good player. And I don't have to be an assistant pro. I can work at the pro shop. I can work at the driving range. I can be caddy master. I can shine your shoes. Whatever I have to do, I just want to work for you. And he says, well, you go back wherever you're working and give those people 14 days and tell them in 14 days you're coming to work for me here at the route. I'm going to start you with $300 a month. That was terrific. That's a raise, you know, from 80 a month to 300, and I'm going to give you can teach and get $3 a half hour for lessons. I remember one day I gave 6 lessons, I made $18, and I took them to my father. He said, where did you steal this money? I said, no, Dad, I gave the 6 lessons, and he said, there's no way you can make money that much. I've never made these over this in a week. So that's why I started at the Dorado Beach.
Last 19 months, I have done quite well. I have won almost $1 million with these clubs.
At 28, you got your first title at Denver. Only 3 years after you start, because you start in 1960, you was 25. So 3 years after.
28, that's 1963.
Yes. So 1963, 3 years after you started. You became a champion in Denver the first time. How did that feel? And that's the most that you enjoy?
Mr. Dudley, the same pro that was pro at Dorado, he was pro at the Broadmoor in Colorado Springs. So he came to see me on Sunday. He drove all the way from Colorado Springs, which was about a 1 hour drive. I said, Mr. Dudley, I'm having a little problem putting. I should be running away with this tournament, but I'm not putting all that well. And he gave me a little putting lesson, and man, I started making everything. So I won the tournament, and I think I got $5,300 first prize. That's what the young guys tip now. So I called my mother. She was in New York, and I said, Mother, I had gone to see where my mother lived on a vacation, and I didn't like it. And I told her, I said, with this money, we're gonna see if we can buy you a home in Puerto Rico. And after that, we, brothers and sisters, we got together, we got money, and we bought her a home. And she lived the rest of her life in that house. So that tournament was very special to me. And I tell you, the first time you win, you can win once and be considered a good golfer. And you can win twice and consider yourself a lucky golfer. But if you win 3 times or four more times,
like you did,
then you're great.
Oh, you did pretty good. You got 8 PGA Tour champions. You got 22 PGA Tour champions, senior. Where was your favorite place to play?
I would say Fort Worth. Fort Worth because Ben Hogan was from there. And one way or the other, we all idolized Ben Hogan. He was a self-made guy, and maybe the best golfer that ever played. And the treatment that you got, the royal treatment that the people, and they treated every golfer the same way. They treat everybody so beautiful. That one in Greensboro was the same. Greensboro in North Carolina. I won that too. I won that tournament. I set a record there that lasted 30 years.
Chi Chi, you definitely put a spice into golf. There's something that drives a lot of attention from the fans, from the people, and it's the sword, the toreador dance. How do you came up with this? Especially on golf, was it, we've never seen something like that before.
Well, I was playing a kid one time for 5 cents, and I made a putt from about 20 feet, and there was a toad in the hole, sop, and he hopped out. And then my ball came out, and the kid says, hey, it's no good until they hit the bottom of the hole. And that's the rule. It has to hit the bottom of the hole. So anyway, after that, I started putting my hat over the hole after I made a long putt, So I did that on tour. Because I figured golf was show business. You have to give the fans a show. So some of the pros started complaining about me, and the commissioner of golf, he called me to New York, and he asked me about it. He says, some guys are complaining. They say that you're damaging the hole, which is baloney, That's not true. But he says, I'm not telling you to stop it, because that's your trademark, but I'm asking you if you can do something else. So I said, well, I won't do it no more, Joe. And I went back to the room, and I said, well, I'm going to be a bullfighter now. Está toreando Juan Antonio, ole! There was a bullfighter that had my name, Juan Antonio. And I said, the butter is going to be my sword, and I'm going to stab the bull, and then I'm going to dry up the blood, and I'm going to put the sword back in the scabbard. That'll be my choreography. And that became my signature.
Feel now that you have inspired other golfers to do the same?
Well,
do you like when they do it, when they imitate you?
Well, only one guy is doing it, Miguel Angel Jimenez from Spain. He doesn't know how to do it.
He doesn't know how to do it?
No, he's not a very good putter. But anyway, I feel good about it. I mean, that means that they're trying to put some spice into the game of golf, which it needs.
question for you that I have no idea. Been looking for it on the books. Been looking for everywhere. How many holes in one does Chi Chi Rodríguez has his entire career?
About 4 months ago, I made my 39th only one.
39?
Yeah, I was playing in Minnesota, and you know, I don't hit the ball very far anymore, but they had a 181-yard par 3, and I took a driver and I put it right in the hole. The people around the green went crazy.
Wow.
And it's pretty hard for me to see that far now, so, but I knew it went in by the reaction of the people on the tee and the people on the green. And when I got there, you know, that it was right in the hole.
Wow, Chi Chi, incredible. 4 months ago.
39.
Wow.
39.
Number 39.
That's number one.
We finally got the start. The fans are going to go crazy with that one.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. Who was your toughest competitor?
I would say Jack Nicklaus.
Which is considered the best golfer in the world?
Well,
or one of the best?
There's always a question about who's the best golfer in the world.
We know who's the favorite. We know who's the best Puerto Rican golfer in the world, right?
I know him too.
You know him too?
Yeah. But anyway, Jack was a terrific, and a gentleman. Always Jack. Yeah.
I got to the gate at the Denver Open, and the policeman officer, I call policeman officer, I respect them very dearly. We couldn't live without him. And he says, do you have an identification? And I say, I'm Chi Chi Rodríguez, the golf pro. And he says, do you have an identification? And I say, I'm Chi Chi Rodríguez, the golf pro. He says, do you have an identification? And I said, look, officer, I lied. I'm not Chi Chi Rodríguez, the pro. I'm Arnold Palmer's caddy. He says, well, going in. But,
213 yards.
And after Nicklaus is already on the green.
Well, when Chi Chi starts chasing it like that, you know he feels he's hit a good shot. And watch this thing start trickling back down, just funneling to the pin. As close as he put it at 18 yesterday. And Jack presenting Chi Chi to the crowd surrounding the green at 9.
Since he's out 34.
Chi Chi Rodríguez, the
I'll tell you, how did you prepare for a competition when you knew you're going to have Jack, some of these other guys that they were really just great?
I just wanted to be me. Let them be themselves and I'll be me.
About your encounter with Mother Teresa.
I was in the Philippines with President Marcos and Imelda. Imelda and I used to sing and duet in the boat. They had a 300-foot boat.
So you can sing also?
And yeah, well, I sing and duet with my brother Jesus and with Julio. And the Pope and Mother Teresa were going to be in town, and President Marcos asked me, he says, whom would you like to meet? The Pope is going to be here, Mother Teresa is going to be here. I said, we'll always have another Pope. There'll never be another Mother Teresa. And I said, I want to meet her. and then set it up when she was going to catch her airplane and I was going to catch my airplane almost about the same time. So we decided to meet at the airport. And then that night before I met her, I prayed. I pray every night. And I said, God, if she's an angel, I want you to show me. And then when I shook her hand, every hair on my body just completely rose up like that. And I knew that I was being touched by an angel. And the first thing she did, she looked at you like that, you know. She looked at me and she says, you are rich. How come you don't share with the poor? And I had a check on my left hand. I said, here, Mother Teresa, how do you know I don't share with the poor? And then she started looking at the check and looking at it. And I knew she was praying because she judged me without knowing me. And I said, Mother Teresa, I broke the ice. I said, Mother Teresa, we're all the sons of God, and He forgives us no matter what we do. So let's sit down and talk about you. Come on. And we sat down, and every word that she said had the word compassion with it. I said, what have you been doing? She said, I give speeches around the world, and I normally pick up a park of some kind, and everybody to hear me talk, they have to bring a can of food. I pack that can of food up and I give it to countries that need it.
Talk to me about your personal encounter with Judge Sonia Sotomayor.
Well, it was beautiful because, you know, being from Puerto Rico, she's the first Puerto Rican lawmaker to come out. And for that, you know that when you shake her hand, you're shaking the hand of a fair judge. They probably check everything about those judges before they put them in the Supreme Court, and they have to be as straight as it can be. And I knew that she was straight, and the respect and the love that she paid to me, I mean, it's incredible. She's an incredible person, and I'm glad that she's the lady with the robe.
You also have an encounter with ex-President Barack Obama.
Yeah, well, I was in Andrews Air Force Base. I was doing I did a lot for the United States Air Force and the Army. And as a matter of fact, I'm an honorary two-star general in the United States Air Force. And they gave me a doctorate at Georgetown University. I gave the graduation speech there. And President Obama heard that I was in town, and he sent for me. And I came to see him, and my wife being Hawaiian, they really got along good. Yeah, my wife, some of her family went to the same school as Obama.
Chi Chi, since we're talking about presidents, what do you think about actual President Donald Trump?
Oh my God. I always think, where's Ronald Reagan? Where's Ronald Reagan when this guy does anything? I said, where's Ronald Reagan?
Chi Chi, there's another thing about you that I really admire a lot. You're always a clean-cut guy. You always wear your hat, no rings. Tell me a little bit about that.
I never sold my head. I've never seen anything written on my hat. My father always told me, your head is the highest part on your body and you never sell it. It's like when he asked me one time, he said, what color is the ceiling? I said, white. He said, why do you see it white? I said, well, they teach me in school that it's white. He says, you tell the teacher that she can see it white, but you see it any color you want. Your brain belongs to you. And,
When George Bush or Ross Perot or Jimmy Carter, the Pope, Billy Graham or Jesse Jackson, when they put an earring on, I'll put one on.
You didn't mention Bill Clinton.
Who was he?
I'm clean, but I'm no angel. You know, nobody's an angel. There was only one perfect human ever, and he was so perfect that they killed him, and that was Jesus.
In 1992, you got elected after a remarkable career to the Hall of Fame. Still to this day, you are the only Puerto Rican to be elected to the Hall of Fame. How did you feel back then? How do you still feel now?
Well, that's a material thing. You know, material thing. The thing that I cherish the most is that in Puerto Rico, my foundation, we donated over $750,000 in machines to save the kids that had a bad heart, to examine their heart. And my school in Clearwater, and my orphanages in Mexico, the benevolent funding for the FBI that gets shot in action, and the kids go to college free nowadays. Those are the things that I cherish the most. Going in the Hall of Fame is a great honor, you know, but it's just a material thing. I would have been the same if I was never elected to it.
And any ladies show up. I watch them all from my home over there in Southern. They don't know I'm watching, but I'm always thinking, watch. That's where I learn. I live right on the tee at the 7th hole on the green course.
Chi Chi, I want to talk about a project that you have done in life, which I think is a wonderful project. It's your legacy, the Chi Chi Rodríguez Youth Foundation in Clearwater. Talk to me about this amazing project that you do for the kids.
Well, that was born in a jail for young people. I went and did a little clinic for them. I had dinner with them. And you see, that's one of the things that I do, is that I go to different detention centers for young people and I talk to them. I give them speeches. And the assistant warden in that place is the guy that, he came to the golf tournament with this kid, and he looked at me and he says, "I hear you're good with kids." I said, "I'm the best." He says, I bet you I have a challenge for you that you won't do." I say, "I do anything for kids, including death." And he said, "Well, can I have your autograph?" I gave my autograph. He says, "I run a detention center. I'm the assistant warden, and I bet you don't come and talk to my kids." I said, "Well, I tell you what, if you have a baseball park or something around, I'll give a golf clinic, and then I'll stay with them and have dinner, and then I'll send for ice cream, and I'll have ice cream with them." Well, we did it. I found out who the biggest thief of the school was, and not the school, the detention center. And I had him, hold my watch. I had a Patek Philippe, the big time stuff. All my cash and everything else. My ring, I had a ring that was worth $125,000 that they stole in Puerto Rico from me when they held me up. And he said, "Why you pick me?" He didn't know that I already know that he was the biggest thief. So I said, "Because I feel like I was like you, but I never got caught." So anyway, we had a good day, and then when the guy was driving me home, he says, "I got to find a way to keep these kids from coming in there. I said, well, what do you have in mind? I said, I want to have a foundation with your name. I said, one condition, nobody makes money. So I had $1,000, I gave it to him. He says, I got this old car, my wife and I. So they took a couple kids out of the school and out of the detention center, took them home. And then another guy heard about me giving $1,000, so he gave another $1,000. Then they took 2 more kids, and then all of a sudden I was playing golf with Lawrence Rockefeller, Raymond Firestone, and Leonard Firestone at Dorado Beach. And after 9 holes, Lawrence asked me, he said, let's go have lunch. He asked me, he said, what have you been doing lately? I said, well, this just happened in Clearwater. And he looked at Leonard, he said, Leonard, 25,000, Raymond 25, me 25, Chi Chi get that 75,000, get that thing going. And man, we took about 20 kids out of jail and we formed a school. Well, to make a long story short now, we do 2,750 kids a year now there. We got a curriculum for 93, and we're #1 in 3 different subjects in the whole state of Florida, my kids. And 87% of my kids attend school every day. 87% of them graduate from college. And the best thing about my school is that anybody that is interested in making a donation or something, the books are open for anybody.
Chi Chi, I want to know how you feel nowadays, especially in your life right now, after you look back and you look a lot of things that you have accomplished, not on the field, but also off the field. You've been a great athlete, you've been a great sportsman, you've been a great humanitarian. How do you feel nowadays about all your projects?
I feel very good about all my projects. I'm a little sad about Puerto Rico, you know. Puerto Rico going bankrupt. There's a lot of corruption down there. And I hope that the Puerto Ricans someday, because you know, very few people know that more Puerto Ricans have volunteered to fight in all the wars per capita for the United States and more than Puerto Ricans have died in all the wars per capita than any state of the Union fighting for the United States. And we have gotten more Congressional Medal of Honor winners than any other state per capita. And I want all of them to know that the best friends that we have is America. And I want them to be proud to be an American. I'm very, very proud to have my citizenship, because with that passport I can go any place in the world.
Do you have a message for the Puerto Ricans that are watching you right now? The people of Puerto Rico?
Love each other. Whenever a foreign person goes to Puerto Rico, you help him out. And the Puerto Ricans, we are like the black crabs. One gets on top and the other was bringing down. Help each other and go for each other. And don't worry what political party you're a member of. Love each other. Politics got nothing to do. Politics is a very, very dirty business. That's why I never got into it.
Well, Chi Chi, I want to ask you something, and it's kind of like a personal question, if you want to call it like that. I know you've been there, you've done that, you've basically done it all. You have a lustrous career, clean career. I want to ask you an advice of life. What will you tell me?
Well, you have to have dignity. You have to have respect for everybody. You know, my father, I guess we had a good upbringing, because my father used to call us all Mr. Don Juan, he called me. He called my little brother Don Jesus, my big brother Don Julio, my sister Doña Juanita, Doña Marisolina, Doña Carmen. Usted. My father never sat us on his lap. My father never kissed us. He never embraced us. He used to shake our hand. And you know what? He was the greatest man that ever lived. We loved him to pieces. I wish I could have him back.
Okay, Chi Chi. Let's go to a few questions, random questions. What's Chi Chi Rodríguez's favorite music?
I like El Gran Combo.
Qué linda es Chile, mi Chile. Ay, qué buena es Chile, mi Chilito. Qué chilito, qué chilito son, qué linda es Chile, mi Chile. Yo no sé qué voy a hacer sin mi Chile, porque yo te quiero solo a ti. Oye, qué buena es Chile, oh, qué linda es Chile, mi Chile. Que son esos ojitos, mi Chile. Ella me dice tuyito pa' mí.
Favorite sport besides golf?
You don't believe it or not, I like the UFC now.
The UFC?
Yeah. You know why? In boxing, if you quit, they call you a coward.
Right.
But in the UFC, you can tap and they let you go. And that's what it's all about. You don't want to kill the guy. And in boxing, you know, I mean, it's just... I mean, Roberto Duran, look, when he said no mask, right. That's what they remember. Right. They forget how great he was. But, you know, that is forever.
Speaking about boxing, speaking about the great ones, there was one with 49-0 by the name of Rocky Marciano.
Yeah, Rocky Marciano was my friend.
Oh, yes?
Yeah, his first title defense was against the guy that beat him in the amateurs, named Roland La Starza. And Rocky knocked him out.
What's Chi Chi Rodríguez's favorite food?
Rice and beans. And I hope the beans don't talk on my back.
A little past your prime now, but the fans still love you as much as ever.
I'm not past my prime. I'm in good shape. I'm a young man. I think an American 50 years old is older than a Puerto Rican 64.
Well,
you understand?
When do you figure you're going to hit your prime?
I look better than you do.
Well, I'm past my prime. You do, actually.
How old are you?
I'll be 59 next week.
Now I really feel good.
What's Chi Chi Rodríguez's favorite hobby?
I watch birds. I watch the birds.
Favorite athlete of all time?
Roberto Clemente.
Well, Chi Chi Rodríguez, first of all, want to thank you for opening your doors for me, for making this interview with you, for sharing your time, your knowledge, your experience, your history. I love your career. I love what you've done for Puerto Rico, for the world, for the sport. I will always share this moment, and I'm glad that I can share it with everybody. And everybody can see it and learn from it, and hopefully we can inspire more athletes, more people who do the same, do better.
I like to tell all the Puerto Rican people, when you get married, you get married for the best and the worst. And don't treat your wife like she's a prostitute. You treat her like a lady, like a queen. I've been married 52 years to the same woman. 2 years married, that'll be long enough. I'll trade her in for a young one then.
Well, Chi Chi, I want to thank you very much for letting me open your doors for me.
Very young. I was very poor. I had rickets when I was a kid. You can see my hands. Officer, I lied. I'm not Chi Chi Rodríguez the Pro. I'm on a farmer's caddy. This is a farmer.